Hi Vijay, how are you? I'm so pleased to come to your farm.
Thank you so much. Nice of you to visit us.
It's just great to be here in India and see this great farm of yours. But I just want to ask you, what made you get started on this adventure? First of all, I noticed you've got so many trees planted here, and it's really like a botanical gardens almost.
We started off building this place or growing trees in this place about 25 years ago. That's
Okay.
when we began. This was absolutely barren, totally bald piece of land. And my idea was to have a place that's absolutely green, bio-friendly, nature-friendly, and build a clean environment in this place so that we can come and spend time here whenever we wanted. So we set about gathering trees of all varieties, bushes that will attract butterflies and birds, medicinal plants, aromatic plants, sacred trees, rare timber varieties. I mean, you name it, we have all of it.
Wow,
Yeah.
on your, how many acres did you say again, I'm sorry?
This is about 19 acres in
19
all.
acres?
Yes,
And so then along came the idea for aquaponics.
that's right.
So you had to clear some of that space?
Well, we had some space, about 4 acres reserved for just vegetable farming, and that's the place where we located aquaponics in.
Okay.
So we started off by growing a variety of vegetables for our own consumption primarily, and then for our school kitchen and for friends and relatives and some buyers in the market. Nothing
Okay.
much, yeah.
So then what really got you onto the path of aquaponics then? Why did you go that direction?
Well, all these years, the farm wasn't, let's say, economically viable. It wasn't remunerative because we were bringing in funds and resources to keep the farm going. But what was very satisfying was the fact that we'd built a beautiful place, very green, very nature friendly, and that was the value in return for the investment. But in commercial terms, it wasn't a viable operation.
Yep.
So we set about thinking what else we can do to make this farm operationally viable and still remain within the framework of being eco-friendly, green, nature
Yes,
supportive,
yep.
and all of that, because we didn't want to change the profile of the farm just to make it commercially
Yeah, you
viable.
didn't want to
So
start
that-
using pesticides
yeah.
and...
In fact, about 15 years ago, we had 12,000 vanilla plants here in this farm. And that was when the vanilla boom was there in the market, and people were looking to India as an interesting supplier because Madagascar and Indonesia had huge challenges. The plants were affected, they didn't get the output they wanted, and people in India started trying out vanilla, and I was one of them. We had 12,000 plants with fantastic infrastructure to help them grow, drip irrigation, sprinklers, mistifiers, all of that was there. But one day we discovered that the vanilla plant had a fusarium infection and a disease, and the experts that we brought in told us that we could save the plants only if we sprayed very toxic and very
numerous poisons.
intense chemicals, which we didn't want to do. So rather than save those vanilla plants, our preference was to keep our farm organic. So we removed the entire vanilla plantation,
Destroyed
and
them.
replaced it with something else, with the pepper and other plants, because we didn't want to change the profile. So that was the ultimate objective, to keep the farm as green and clean as possible.
That's very
So
commendable.
we had opportunities to grow commercial cultivations in hydroponics, under greenhouses and all of that, but we rejected those propositions simply because of what I already said. We didn't want to change the nature and the character of our farm. That is when we thought of aquaponics. I mean,
Okay.
we went around the web and did some research, and we found out this is a truly organic way to
Yep.
grow vegetables. Then we came in touch with Arvind. He visited us, and after that he invited us to see some of the farms that he's built in different parts of the world. So I went to Oman and saw his place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and then we took a calculated decision that yes, this is something we need to do. and maybe we should go ahead and set it up. And as you know, among all the countries in the world, India is one of the few that has farmers living up to challenges and unable to make both ends meet. And at the same time, this is also a huge pesticide, chemical consuming
Yes, everywhere.
agronomy everywhere. So these are the challenges. So we thought that if we took the first step and if we can make this work, then this is something many others can
Huge
follow.
example.
Yeah, that was the idea. And some of the things that we try to implement here is not standard aquaponics procedure, because given the nature and the infrastructure that we have here, we have a dairy, we have cows that are indigenous, native to this land, and we are using these species to make different natural medicines and concoctions that help in controlling pests and controlling infestations, that promote bacterial growth in the breakdown process. So all of that Arvind probably doesn't have access to in the other farms that he's built.
No, he doesn't, I'm
but
sure.
fortunately, given the infrastructure that we have these complementary support systems that probably will make our systems work a little better. So
Yes,
we are putting all of that into practice.
Give you
here.
a wonderful advantage.
Yeah. Well, the way we went about doing this was we did a little bit of market research.
Yep.
We went on to the website of all these food stores and these retail chains, and we found out that they have quite an interesting variety of lettuces and greens which they import.
Importing from where?
They bring it from Thailand. The jalapeno peppers come from Spain or somewhere else, and then
All over
they
the
get
place.
they get something else from Hong Kong, whatever, I don't know. And they sell at phenomenal prices in the local markets. So we
You mean
thought
phenomenally high or phenomenally low?
phenomenally high prices.
Okay, so there are people
Phenomenally high
prepared to buy
prices.
that
I mean,
stuff.
we are talking about, say, oak leaf red and green selling at something like $15 a kilo.
$15 US.
$15 US a kilo. So that's a big price. Swiss chard, same price, $15 a kilo. So we thought that if we price ourselves somewhere 1/3 that price, or 60, 65, 70% less, we should have an interesting market. So the selection and the varieties that we chose were dependent on two things. One is what is difficult to grow in open field cultivation, which people can't manage to grow out.
Difficult, yes.
Which has to be done under controlled conditions, so we don't have competition. The second is to grow what is currently being offered to the market at very high prices. So we come in at that point and say we are much better, we are cleaner, tastier, and we are much cheaper. So we began with these varieties of lettuces which you see, the black kale, the curly kale, the Swiss chard and arugula and all of that, and it's well accepted. In fact, we were a little unhappy that all the orders that came through 2 weeks before you came, all our rafts are vacant now. You see, we had to send them out to the market.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
So
We don't
that is
mind.
one, yes.
We like to see a working farm.
And the other factor is we need to expand our range to about, say, 30, 35 products, because most buyers in the market, they just don't want to buy a few odd items. I mean, when they want to buy
variety,
organic,
cross-section.
they want a cross section, they want a variety, they want enough stuff to put on their salad tables and all of that. So that is why we're now growing beans. We're growing 6, 7 varieties of different tomatoes. We planted snow peas and what else? That
Got
is,
a nice lot of,
yeah.
very nice lot of Swiss chard down there.
Yeah.
And plenty of kale. It's going really well.
So by March, I think we'll have the full production going.
Who are your buyers then? Are you selling to chain stores or to individual hotels, for example?
We have a little bit in all three, but our biggest buyers are these food chains who supply direct home deliveries and to hotels and restaurants. There's one called the Big Basket. The Big Basket is a food chain that's present all over India, pan-India. and they recently expanded their operations, I think, with some foreign investment, all that. It's a pretty well established chain. You can go online and order something, they give you a delivery within 24 hours.
Okay.
And there are also hotels and restaurants that buy directly from this chain.
Okay.
They have their own cold storage facilities.
Okay.
And our job is to pick up their order, send our refrigerated trucks. We have trucks which are solar powered. And these trucks will take the stuff and deliver it to them every afternoon.
Excellent.
So now we
that's
have,
a good thing to do.
We have 4 orders a week coming in. But pretty soon, I think if the regularity and the supply and the quality is maintained, we only see the volumes going up
Increasing all the time.
every single week. Yeah,
You'll have a problem soon.
Yeah.
Won't be able to grow enough. Great problem to have.
maybe unit 2. Who knows?
Yes, could
Yeah.
do. You never know. Vijay, I'm really interested to know that Arvind has told me that you operate this entire place on solar power. Now, what led you to do that, to go to that expense?
To tell you the truth, we didn't have much choice, because what drove us to think about solar was our plant is now located in a village that doesn't have power at least 3-4 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
And that would be disastrous. I mean, if we depended on public power supply, and if that didn't meet our expectations, we would be falling short, our production would get affected. So the only alternative was to go for solar, and going for solar also meant one very important aspect. We will still stay green, we will stay bio-friendly, we will stay nature-friendly, and having done all this in aquaponics, it would seem very conflicting if I used a diesel generator to run the whole plant and smoke up the atmosphere. So even though that was a readily available simple solution, we didn't want to do that, even if it meant investing 25-30% more than our capital outlay just to do the solar. So but we eventually did it. Yeah.
So I understand that you've got 10.1 kVA, is that correct?
100 kVA. 110 kVA.
110 kVA. That's a mean bit of power.
Yeah. It's 110 kVA. The way we've structured it is, this entire solar goes into a battery bank. It goes into a battery bank, and the supply comes through an inverter. So if the solar at some point is inadequate, we have the general public power supply that charges the same batteries.
Yes.
And it also comes through the inverter. Even if that supply fails, we finally have a backup generator that also charges the batteries. So the entire power comes out of this battery bank. And at any point in time, we need to keep enough backup power in the batteries so that we have 6 or 8 hours time to switch to general power supply or to the diesel
whatever
generator.
you need to do.
So whatever is needed.
So do you find that you'll get through the night every night with just on the solar, or do you have to go to the public?
Right now, we are able to manage, I think, about 80% of our work on solar.
Okay.
I'm talking about an annual average.
Okay.
In the peak summer periods, we'll be able to run the entire plant on solar.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. But during the monsoon, during the rainy months, and during the cloudy months, we borrow a little more from the public power supply. So on an average, I think through the year, we should be doing 80% solar and 20% non-solar.
That's excellent. Isn't that that's a great story.
Right.
Vijay, what do you see as the future for India in regard to aquaponics? Do you feel that this example you're setting will be copied by the others? And do you mind if they do?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the technology of the future, and sooner or later, I know other interested people are going to hear about it, they're going to know about it, and they'll get interested, and somebody somewhere will try his hand at aquaponics. We would like, with Arvind's involvement, try and do as many farms as possible over the next several years in different parts of India. That's the plan. And we want this to expand and grow, because we are at a transition stage now where more and more people are today getting aware that their poor health could be directly related to the food that they take
Yes,
in
yes,
and the
yes.
food that they consume, whether it's vegetables or grains or whatever, and they want that quality of food to change. They are prepared to pay the price. So we are going through this phase where we are having more and more conscious consumers coming forward to search for and get quality food for themselves.
So an aquaponics solves that problem. Definitely does.
Sure. And aquaponics from the individual point of view, yes. From a commercial point of view, yes. But what is more important is a farm like this protects your environment, it saves your natural
it's ethically good.
surroundings,
Yeah.
and your leaching of chemicals into the soil, your effluent problems, all of that is resolved in one stroke, and you're still delivering good, clean food. I mean, this is what everybody should be doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, this
It's
is what
very good.
everyone should
Yeah.
be doing.
Well, thanks, VJ.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to talk to us
Thank
on
you.
camera. Thank you.